Allen County, Kentucky celebrates its 200th birthday this year. But do you know who Allen County is named for? If you don't, you're about to find out. You're looking at the square in downtown Scottsville, Kentucky. Scottsville is the county seat for Allen County. Recently, I met with University of Kentucky Extension agent Janet Johnson at her office in Scottsville. She did a lot of research on the man Allen Countyans may not know very well.
Colonel John Allen was born in Rockcastle County, Virginia, and when he was around 8 years old, which would have been around 1780, he actually moved to Kentucky with his family, at first settling near Danville, Kentucky, with a group of families creating what was known as a protection station. And of course, many stations were formed that way to offer supplies, but also military protection against Indian raids at that point. And so, Colonel Allen's family began to feel a little confined and later moved on to Bardstown, Kentucky, settling in Nelson County about 8 miles outside of Bardstown. But arrangements were made for Colonel John Allen to study in the city of Bardstown and studied the classics at that point, which would have included Latin and other types of classics that are no longer studied by our students. But that led to his interest in education, and he later left Kentucky to go to Staunton, Virginia to study law, coming back and establishing a practice in Shelbyville, Kentucky. And at that point, things began to be pretty tumultuous here in the country with the War of 1812 beginning just at its beginning stages. And Colonel Allen, as he was commissioned at that time, entered the Army and actually took a group of Kentuckians to become the first rifleman regiment in the Army at that time, fighting under William Henry Harrison, who later became president of our country. And so Colonel Allen took his regiment and was involved in the disastrous Battle of Frenchtown, which is located on the River Raisin in southeast Michigan. And it was there that many stories talk about Colonel Allen performing bravely, and even with a thigh wound at the point of the battle, still leading his cavalry and leading his men into battle against the Indians, which of course were commissioned by the British to fight early settlers, American settlers. And it was there, though, that he died and lost his life. But to commemorate his bravery in leading these charges and holding the Army together, Colonel Allen, of course, was recognized not only in Kentucky, where he had even been elected a state senator right before entering the Army, and 3 counties in this nation are actually named after Colonel Allen. Our own Allen County, Kentucky, as well as Allen County, Indiana, and Allen County, Ohio. So he was widely recognized for his military service and for the bravery that he exhibited at that time. John Allen is honored in the state of Michigan for his gallantry, of course, and his bravery in the Battle of River Raisin, or Frenchtown, as it's now called. And here are a few of the excerpts from that particular marker. Colonel Allen tried vainly to rally the retreating Americans at the Second Battle of River Raisin on January 22, 1813. Exhausted and disabled by a thigh wound, he pursued the Indians near there, but desperately defending himself at sword point before he was killed. He was one of the most influential men in Kentucky. He unsuccessfully even ran for governor in 1808, but was a member of the Kentucky Senate at the time of his death. And of course, Colonel Allen is interred in the Frankfort Cemetery, the military cemetery here in Kentucky today. So he came back home.
Do you think the leaders at that time in the 1800s, when Allen County first became a county, probably made the right decision in naming their county after him?
I think Colonel Allen was one of the most successful men in Kentucky during this time period. He had a successful law practice, which was highly unusual at that point here on the frontier, but also in his successful military campaign, even though he lost his life, he exhibited an element of bravery nationally that put Kentucky on the map as being a state that was extremely influential in turning the tide in the War of 1812. For Kentuckians and Tennesseans, as we know, that was an extremely pivotal point in moving America west to the Mississippi.
How much more have you learned about him after doing this research than maybe perhaps that you knew before you did the research?
Before doing the research, really all I knew was that Allen County was named after John Allen, of course, and that he had fought in the Battle of 1812. We have a historical marker, of course, in front of our city-county building that commemorates that. But I knew little about his life, how he again studied to become a lawyer, how he was very educated for his time, how with his peers and some of the markings that we've even read from the historic marker, how much people really thought of him as being an ultimate gentleman, of having, again, a sense of loyalty to his troops, of having a sense of kindness and a good heart toward his fellow man. And that is exceptional in that you know this person, not just as a historical figurehead, but as a real person who did little things and did things out of his heart in a sense of loyalty and courage to make our country what it is today.
Did you enjoy doing the research on this?
I did enjoy doing the research. I am a history buff, and I really, really love to learn more about local history. And of course, with Allen County celebrating its 200th birthday, that really, really lends itself to a great time to kind of immerse yourself in a little-known fact, to read more about it, and we certainly have. We've done several things in the community, most recently doing a program for the Extension homemakers to learn more about the names of our little communities. And then you find out more about the people, because the people are associated, of course, with these places. And Colonel John Allen is a great example for our total county. Next month, we'll learn all about Sumner County's namesake, Jethro Sumner. Reporting in Allen County, Kentucky, Barry Hyatt, NCTV.